We talk about the false prophets, but what about these real prophets? Can we talk about that? What about the real prophets with the real calls? Because no call title should ever be your validation. It was never designed to affirm you and their identity, who don't know who they are in Christ, and they use engagements, titles, platforms as validation to eventually be lifted up in pride, because that's the only thing that it will equal to. You're going to be lifted up in pride and you will fall. There are too many striving to be affirmed as doctor, but not enough to be striving as to be the servant of God. I keep saying that. And I keep saying it. Why, Ebony? Because it's a problem. There's too many greats. They rise and they fall. They own every flyer, every platform, but then you don't hear about them because they have fallen. The church is the one who needs the most help. A lot of what the world is saying about us is true. Not all of it is lies. But we have left God. You've left the altar and you've left the place of prayer. And let us stop confusing employment in the kingdom with endorsement. Let's stop confusing you working for the kingdom with God endorsing and is pleased with you. We have got to come out of that deception and from up under that strong delusion before you and we mess around and hear, "Depart, I never knew you." Before we mess around and hear, "Depart, I never knew you." With your prophesying bull-eye self, with your miracle-working self, with your casting out devil, demon-slaying self. And it's even ridiculous, the titles that we have given ourselves. It's foolishness. It's the work of the flesh. God will use you and allow you to work for the kingdom and occupy seats for his agenda. And because you should read the Bible, it's in there. Oh, it's in there. If we don't allow God to purify us, consecrate us, and heal those identity wounds that are crying loud in most of our souls, then who is going to inherit the kingdom? Who is going to hear the Lord say, "Well done"? The church is in a crisis. We are the epidemic. It's us. It's us. It's a problem. You know, the biggest problem that we have is we're too busy doing church and not kingdom. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep crying loud. I'm going to keep sparing not. We're too busy doing church and not kingdom. And that's why we see the fruit that we see. That's why a lot of it isn't working. That's why a lot of it leaves you burnt out. Because you're doing church and not kingdom. And there's a difference. There's a difference. And no one, I'm not going to say no one, not enough people are operating in humility with a broken and a contrite spirit. Everything is about what I did. Applaud me. Affirm me. I could tell by the way some people post. Now, I do post to promote. But I can tell some of the stuff that's being posted is to heal them wounds. It's to heal them wounds from that hurt that you've experienced, that you hadn't allowed God to heal, but you use the affirmation, you use things of this world to affirm you. And it's speaking. And that's why you got so many people. They lose their identity if the applause is not there. They don't know how to act when they're not being patted on the back, if they're not being affirmed. We talk about the false prophets, but so let's talk about the real ones. The ones who are actually called, chosen, marked by God. But they have wounded souls. And that's why you lead and you bleed on the people. The ones who are really called. The ones who have really been sent. We talk about the fake ones, but what about the real ones? What about them who finding their identity in everything else but God? But God. We got to do better. or who's going to inherit the kingdom? What example will the world have? What standard will the world have? Now, we're not the ultimate standard, of course, Jesus Christ is, but the only Jesus they may see is us. And what are we doing?